Hi, and welcome back to another one of my videos. I'm Mick Cox from Beenleigh, Australia, and today I want to talk to you about body energy. Where do I begin? It's a little known fact that your body, everybody's body, the human body, can vibrate anywhere between 4 Hertz and 1600 Hertz. That's 4 cycles per second up to 1600 cycles per second. And if you can imagine a 0 axis and a sine wave going through that 0 axis, that's 1 cycle. To reach the peak of the cycle is where the peak of the voltage would be, or power would be, and then come down through the 0 axis again and up again to the 0 axis, going through the negative of negative voltage. So that's alternating current. I'm saying that for those whose knowledge is in other places of life. All their knowledge is in other places of life. So your body can vibrate anywhere between 4 and 1600 Hertz, which is quite a large variation. So what I need to tell you is, to understand this, is that understanding that your body can vibrate at anywhere in between those frequencies, 4 to 1600 Hertz, 1600 Hertz. Well, the Earth puts out a resonance, a frequency, a vibration, whatever you want to term it, of between 8 and 12 Hertz. I could be slightly wrong, but it's around about that. So let me tell you that the ancients used to do healing by lowering their body vibration. Once they lowered their body vibration to around the same frequency as the Earth, they would draw on the energy of the Earth, and that's why the ancients talked about the Earth, our Mother Earth, being the source of healing. They probably said that because they certainly weren't scientific, and I wasn't always scientific. I actually knew this for quite some time before I learnt that the Earth's frequency, and before I learnt especially that where the body can vibrate at, what frequency the body can emit. So yeah, when you get down to the same frequency or around about the same frequency as the Earth, which takes a lot of meditation, I've often accelerated that process by the dog's going crazy. I've often accelerated that process by particular herbs, which will lower the body's vibration. And some of those herbs have brought on the sensation of similar to chronic fatigue, drowsiness, and etc. all the time. So, but I'll tell you, there are other ways of lowering your body vibration through doing hard yakka. That's how I learnt in the original stages, that by doing hard yakka and tiring yourself out, you know, that falling asleep feeling when you come home from the hard yakka. I'm talking like days of hard yakka. Your mind can be empowered by the earth. Let me tell you that eating sugar raises your body vibration. Chocolate, you know, raises your body vibration. And so you've got Buckley's chance of getting close to the Earth's frequency, lowering your body vibration. So let me tell you, now that it comes to mind, that one of the indicators that you could be close to the Earth's frequency is that when a lot of times when you're lying in bed, you'll hear a drone in your ear. And so that's when your eardrum is in the same frequency as the Earth. Your whole body might not be, but most certainly your eardrum is. It sounds like there's a machine, you know, going on in your head. And sometimes I've had the experience of an actual physical vibration in my actual eardrum. Well, that's what they call it, a drum, of course. Lots of people knew about this, you know, that's where the names came from. But before, back in the days when they were identified or nicknamed things, the nicknames probably came, of course, before the scientific names came. So, so let me tell you this. That that what happens is, I'll jump onto this subject and then I'll go back, and then I'll leave it, talk about something else that will help you understand it, which is what I want to talk about and get across to you today, is that other planets have different frequencies. I don't quite understand the fact, and I'll talk about that again later too, I don't quite understand the fact that our Earth has a north and south pole, and as a magnet it has a north and south pole, and the north has a polarity and the south has a polarity. And when we talk about polarities like that, like a battery, we're talking about direct current, which isn't anything to do with alternating current and frequencies. But science tells us the Earth has a frequency of between 8 and 12 hertz, and our bodies have a frequency of between 4 and 1600 hertz. And so let me tell you that when our Earth emits a particular frequency that might be close to another planet outside of the Earth, then those frequencies can amalgamate just like our body amalgamates with our Earth's frequency, and those outside planets can project frequencies, particular frequencies, onto our Earth. So now the next thing is that I want to talk about emotions. I believe that the word emotion is primarily two words, energy in motion. So every energy has a frequency, and so through those different frequencies that our body can vibrate at, it can generate different emotions. So an example of that is, of course, sugar and in particular chocolate. Now they're probably two different frequencies right there, but very close together, very, very close together. So, and we all know that, you know, honey, sugar, chocolate, all produce a happy, a feeling of joy, an emotion of joy. The American Indians said that the hummingbird that eats honey and nectar all the time was a symbol of joy. And when you cage a hummingbird, I guess that's where they learnt the lesson of, or learnt the medicine of hummingbird. When you cage a hummingbird, it dies. And we all know what it's like. We can assimilate with being locked up and taking away the joy in life. Even if it's an illness that locks you away in the bedroom, you know, or in a hospital bed. So, lots of other emotions are in tune with different frequencies. Emotion being energy in motion. So what I want to talk about is the Buddhist monk. The Buddhist monk, I believe, is continually, the Buddhist monk lives his life, or loves to live his life, her life, sorry for that, in an emotion of peace. Not quite love, but most certainly in peace. So peace and love are very close together on the scale of emotions, and I sort of look at all of the emotions, the infinite number of emotions, infinite amount of emotions that can be expressed or felt. There's a good word, felt, in regards to emotions. So all of the different emotions, I look at them on like a circle, and each tangent of the circle being a direction of emotion. And if we can look at the circle like this, some people would be in a tangent that would go outside of that circle, and so their circle would be even bigger. Mel Gibson, for example, I saw him on Oprah Winfrey one day, and he was talking about emotion. That man's full of emotion. His circle, I don't think, would fit in the room, and I'm not talking about ego there. I'm talking about his emotions that he expresses. He's full of emotion, and he said a fact on Oprah Winfrey one day that I was completely aware of. He said that in Chinese medicine, that your kidneys are associated with emotion, and when you've got lots of toxins on the liver, it can cause anger. The old saying, shite on the liver. Well, Mel Gibson talked about that too, and he said that, wouldn't you know it, he had an ultrasound or something one day, and he discovered that he has one ginormous kidney, sorry, not liver, kidney, one ginormous kidney that runs across his whole back instead of two. And so that's where he learnt his about his body, that he has one enormous kidney expressing huge emotions. So so let me jump back to the Buddhist monk again. He or she, loves to stay in tune with the emotion of peace. It's a good emotion to be in. Certainly no coffee involved in that one. My naturopathic professor, Ms. Blondell, 30 years ago, taught the class that one of the greatest lessons that I ever learnt was that coffee, when it enters your large intestine, your poo tube, that it goes off and it goes rancid. That's going off, and it causes anger. I hadn't drank coffee at that stage of my life. I think I'd started drinking coffee at that stage of my life when I got married, and she said, would you like a coffee type of thing? And anyhow, so I certainly discovered that back in those days that a particular restaurant, the Big M restaurant, I had a coffee there, and their coffee was very strong, and I did notice a difference 2 or 3 hours later in my emotion in regards to anger. So, the Buddhist monk. Let's go back there again. Sorry about that. I jump a bit from time to time, don't I? So, the Buddhist monk, he, she, he, it's a very feminine energy, isn't it? Peace, you know. Buddhist monks can seemingly express peace as a very feminine type energy. The American Indian said that you must balance both energies, the male and the female, regardless of what sex you are, etc. They always had 6 people in a council meeting, and 3 men, 3 women. They knew the importance of balancing the energy. So the Buddhist monk, if he's not feeling at rest per se, he or she might strike the gong. Now the gong, and they also try and figure out where that vibration is. It's a fairly lower vibration, isn't it? And the gong is also a lower vibration, the particular gong frequency that they strike. And I believe that when that monk, that Buddhist monk, strikes that gong, he is attuning to the gong, which is very close or very much in tune with the emotion of peace. That's what I wanted to say. All of that, 14, 16 minutes, whatever it is, just to get that across. But the next point that I want to say is the most important point. So what I want to say is this. I spoke about different frequencies being emitted by planets that are passing by. Some planets take a couple of days to pass by, some of them just whiz by. So there's different frequencies that they're moving at, of course. And what happens is those planets passing by amalgamate with our planet and create different emotions. Some of them spike. Some planet might whiz by and spike. Let me also say very importantly that at every magnetic pole there are 3 lines that are the strongest. In power generation, they use those three lines to generate a very high percentage of the electricity. Let me also point out that electrical energy and magnetic energy exist together and coexist together as one energy. We call it electromagnetic energy, but you can't have one without the other. And in its most natural form, it's magnetic energy, but magnetic energy always contains a small percentage of electrical energy. So when we get movement in the magnetic field, it generates or changes or shifts the energy to a primary state of electrical energy, but the electrical energy always has magnetic energy as well. So electromagnetic energy exists in different frequencies. They say that a battery is DC, so the frequency well, there wouldn't be a frequency, it's constant. Direct current. If this is the 0 axis, then DC is there, direct current, or a negative value there, etc. So what I want to say is that those planets passing by generate different frequencies, different emotions, some fast as they whiz by and some slower as they drift by, taking days. Like I think Neptune is the biggest planet, and it takes a couple of days, I think, to drift by. But what also happens is, now this might be a hard concept to grasp, that we also have neighbouring solar systems, and in my book, I think I've explained it. Check out the book, the front cover of the book. The book is called The Holy Grail of Science. On the front cover, it displays a diagram of our sun with four lines that span from it, and those four lines divide our rotation orbit around 1 year, the 4 seasons. And remember, I said that every magnetic pole has 3 particular lines that are the strongest. Well, those 4 lines generate the king tides, with the line in the middle being the strongest, and each side of the king tide is a neap tide. And the neap tide is almost as high as the king tide. So it's reflected in those 3 lines of magnetic studies, in that those 3 lines have one center line that's the strongest and 2 slightly weaker lines each side, and that's a direct reflection of the king and neap tides. So there are neighboring solar systems. One solar system is 1,000 times bigger than our sun. Its sun, the neighboring sun, is 1,000 times bigger than our sun. There's another sun off to another direction, I guess maybe perpendicular to our Earth, each being perpendicular to our Earth, and it's 100 times bigger than our sun. And let me say that, our sun, with its 4 lines, they are in 2 different sizes, and as a reflection, the king and neap tides are in 2 different sizes. If you look at the tidal book, it's not a strong, obvious. It's not an extremely obvious fact, but the king tides are in pairs, 2 the same and 2 others that are slightly different, bigger and smaller. Because if you read my book, you'll learn that the neighboring sun that's 1,000 times bigger and the other neighboring sun that's 100 times bigger, which both have lines that extend into our solar system's orbit, those lines created our sun, and that's why our sun has 4 lines. There's actually 2 that cross over, because those neighboring suns' lines came in and crossed over. So what happens is, I don't know how fast those neighboring suns spin, but you would think that if it's 1,000 times bigger, it wouldn't be spinning as fast as our sun. And what happens is, the neighboring sun's lines that project into our solar system, they create emotions upon our Earth. So I'm going to give you an example of that, remembering that the monk strikes the gong and does the Om to attune to the emotion of peace, and also remember that peace is very close on the scale of emotions to love. Some people, when you're on that close-knit changeover point from the emotion of love and peace, or peace into love, etc., some people get very confused because of their brain always thinking of love. They can get very confused as to whether you're being peaceful towards them or whether you're being loving towards them, sexual. So let me ask you now let me tell you another fact that some of you might not know, because all of your education memory is in a different area of life, that we have a planet alignment every 500 years. Yeah. There'll be people of you, the naysayers, that, oh, that's just a load of crap, and they love to take control of science like that. But I'm telling you, we have planet alignment every 500 years, and it's not a perfect alignment. They align magnetically with all of the magnetic lines that project from each of the planets. It's all explained in that book, The Holy Grail of Science, but if you're anything like me, you can't read and you wouldn't never get there. So I'm telling you a little bit about it. There's about 150 to 200 facts in that book on our solar system, the galaxy, and etc. So, what was the emotion? We have this planet alignment every 500 years, okay? So 40 years before the planet alignment, around 1960 to 1965, 1967 type of thing, what was the general consensus or the general emotion of everybody in those days? The 60s, of course, were peace, man, peace. You know, it wasn't just that the combi van created or generated that era. What happened was the people who invented or designed the combi van, well, they were in that emotion as well, but in their technical trade or in their area of expertise, they were at peace. You know, they designed a car that was all about peace. So the emotion that was thrust upon our Earth around the 60s, 1960 to 65, 68 type of thing, was peace. And then people started talking about make love, not war, man, you know. So there's the evidence that love and peace are very, very close together as an emotion. Very, very, very close. Two frequencies or two emotions generated by a frequency that are very close together, and in that time, peace and then love was thrust upon our Earth. There's a little bit of evidence there, and it's backed a little bit by the monk who strikes that gong. And crikey, is not a bad emotion to be in, really, is it? Peace. So if you ever want to understand the sort of vibration that you're in when you're doing mediumship and etc., I've expressed a lot of times that the emotion is very much it's similar to the emotion that we have for anything in regards to unconditional love. The American Indians called it the crack in the universe, and I was a bit hesitant about agreeing with that when I first read it, but over the decades, 30 or so years, as a reader, I absolutely, positively, totally, emphatically agree with them today that you enter the crack in the universe when you do mediumship. It's right there in between peace and love. It's unconditional. But I think unconditional is a very, very thin emotion, or maybe it's an amalgamation of two energies of peace and love that create unconditional. Yeah, that's a subject for another day probably, hey? Anyway, so in the 60s, 1960, 40 years before the planet alignment, if per se that's when the planet alignment occurred, what happened was that in the 60s, the planets were in certain positions, or getting close to the planet alignment. The planets were in certain positions, and it might have been that two planets were here and here, or would be here and here, orbiting round. And then from what I figured with my diary and making notes, what happens is every 2.5 years, in a lead up to the planet alignment, the planets become closer and closer and closer in 2.5 year segments. I think that was, you know, that was what I wrote in the diary, etc. And so what happens is during the planet alignment, you get a lot of energy created. I call it psychic energy because it affects your psyche, and etc. Around 2001 was when those idiots stuck the planes into those buildings, and they were idiots. I'm not making reference to the religion whatsoever. I'm making reference to the people who did it. Anyone associated with it were idiots. I think some people, I'm not into astrology at all, really. I'm into astronomy and the energy of the planets as we look at them as magnets and frequencies and stuff like that. But let me also say that every 500 years when we have that planet alignment, a lot of psychic energy is created which affects your psyche, and it also makes you very clairvoyant or psychic to be able to see things wherever you focus your mind. And 500 years ago was Nostradamus, who lived across the planet alignment, and Da Vinci lived across the planet alignment, and two of the greatest seers that ever lived. Da Vinci, I don't know whether you know it or not, drew helicopters and submarines, type of thing, and Nostradamus wrote and died sitting at the table writing. One of the things that Nostradamus wrote was that some chap, I can't remember his name now, Joe Bloggs, so many years, I think it was like 28 years after Nostradamus passed away, he predicted that Joe Bloggs, without studying the life of Nostradamus, would dig up Nostradamus's grave. I think that's what he dug up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he dug up Nostradamus's grave, and buried with Nostradamus was a note or a letter to Joe Bloggs, whatever his name was, saying that he was Nostradamus in a past life. And I think the letter said that Joe Bloggs, when he dug up Nostradamus's grave and found the letter, would die of a heart attack or something, and all of that came true. I think something along those lines. So two great seers. Along comes all the energy every 500 years. And let me also say that I believe that every 2,000 years there appears to be an even stronger energy. 2,000 years ago, yeah, a great prophet, a great seer. Well, I don't know whether he was a great seer, because he never spoke of the future in a practical sense. He's talked about it, I think, in an emotional or social sense. In fundamentals, you know, he talked about don't knock off your neighbour and stuff like that. I mean, they probably needed that book back in those days, but we certainly don't need that book nowadays. A lot of things that are in that book are instilled into people's minds. I think even you know, as children. And a few people need to catch up, so maybe they need the book. And so anyway, I believe that every 2,000 years, I think it was Buddha 6,000 years ago. I think every 2,000 years there seems to be an even stronger energy, like what we're undergoing at the moment, with lots and lots of people doing miraculous things, truly miraculous things. There's lots of incredible healers. And from what I gather, Jesus was just a healer, you know, prophet, healer. He didn't make clairvoyant messages. He didn't give people personal messages like, your wife's going to have a baby on the 23rd of November or whatever, you know, type of thing. He certainly didn't say, you're driving your dad's blue Holden car at the moment after he passed away. Yeah, but there are certainly lots of miraculous things happening there, and I'm going to talk about miraculous things. I've had lots and hundreds of experiences of miraculous things myself that will probably get to being in a book one day. But problem is with writing a book that there's a lovely company out there that a huge conglomerate company that that is so wonderful to have everybody's book available for free. Oh, how fantastic is that? You know, just Google the book. If the person hasn't got any money to take on that large conglomerate company, then their book is there for free. I certainly don't think that that anyone with a bit of money behind them is going to allow them to. I don't think that conglomerate company will take the risk of printing somebody's book for free who has money. So aren't they wonderful? Wonderful, wonderful people. Lovely people. And I've had massive problems with that company, and there's only one company as far as I know of that does it, so I guess I'm in for more trouble now having spoken about it. So they know who they are, and so do I, and so they'll badger me. So the most important thing that I have to tell you today, and it's 36 minutes at the moment, so hopefully I'll get it out within the next 4 minutes or 3 minutes, is this. The planet alignment created an intense energy. Those idiots stuck those planes into those buildings, and 40 years before the planet alignment, we were going through 30 to 40 years before the planet alignment, we were going through the frequency or the emotion of peace and love. So I think you folk who study astrology or talk about astrology talk about retrograde, and I think retrograde is if this is one planet and the planet's here, the other planet's here, then I think this is retrograde. I'm no expert, and I'm extremely dyslexic, so I've never read anything in my entire life. The only book I've ever read in my life is my book, because I had to try and get it out there. And my book is really terrible. It's really the information is fantastic. It's interesting, but because I'd never read a book, I didn't know to put at the time. I didn't know to put chapters in there. So anyway, it's probably a bit embarrassing, but anyhow, the information is good. Who cares about chapters, etc., aesthetics? I had an old mate, Ronnie, at work. He used to say to me, you always stuff up a good story with facts. yeah, he always had a good funny story to tell, old Ronnie. But he said if you popped in with while he was telling the joke and you didn't realise it was a joke, and you popped in with an actual factual thing about the subject he was talking about, he would say to me, you stuff up a good story with facts. So what emotion are we in for 40 years after the planet alignment, when all the planets are in retrograde? We're in 2023 now, 23 years after the planet alignment, and what is really starting to heat up out there? Man, well, there's wars going off left, right and centre, mini wars. Everyone thinks that somebody's got their finger on the button, and crikeys, they most probably have. And if you're in the armies and stuff, they talk about this country has really got a potential threat from that country because that country is so much bigger, and etc. And that's in regards to nearly every country, each other country. So what we really need to do, and one of the things that I'm doing, people are just exploding left, right and centre all around us in public. I like to try to stay in tune with peace. Coffee's definitely off the list, let me tell you. I've given it up again lately. It's been like 22 to 25 years or so since I started drinking coffee, and in the last 3 months I've eased, no, actually in the last 2 years, 1 year type of thing, I started backing off on the percentage that I was drinking of coffee. Don't get me wrong, I occasionally still enjoy, very much enjoy a coffee, but it's always the weaker packet ones, those lattes and cappuccinos and stuff. And if you look at those packets, they express on the packets the percentage of coffee, and so I went for lower and lower percentages, and now I'm drinking chai tea. I call it Tai Chi, and it's good stuff. It really is good stuff, and it's probably too sweet, you know, especially for a diabetic. And so I'm shifting at the moment again. I was on the chai teas for about 3 or 6 months or so, and now I'm shifting again to something else that I'm drinking that hasn't got so much sugar in it, and no sugar, stevia. But be careful where you buy that stevia from. The organic stuff is going to turn your hot drink into green. I don't know what it is, man, but anyway, and the stevia that's in other brands is white. So the organic stevia is green, actually green. It actually looks like some other herb to me, and tastes like some other herb and smells like some other herb. But there's also stevia that's available in the supermarkets, and one of those, and it's white powder like a sugar. And I was reading on the ingredients of that just today, and I'm certain that it said 0.18%, which is about 1/500th of stevia. It also mentions another, I'm not sure whether it's a chemical, because it says on there organic, and then it says the chemical name. So somebody's playing around with words there. 99.5% of that chemical, I think it might be stevia produced in the laboratory. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm glad I'm not saying the brand name of it either. But hey, look at the time. It's 6:10. I've been rattling on now for about 43 minutes. I sincerely hope that you found it interesting in parts, and well, hopefully I'll get you some more videos with some more interesting stuff on it. So farewell for now, and let me find that button that turns the video off. Hasta la vista. I'll catch you later.